Got a huge guest today. I want to give out shout outs to my sponsors, Los Angeles Tribune, for bringing me in on podcasting, and thank you to Immune Support for sponsoring me. Thank you for Riverside just giving me the platform to do this virtual podcast. I'm on the record to do 100 episodes this year virtually, so I can put my message out. That's what this is what the Hood Motivator and the Motivators Table is about. We got a huge guest today. We got Mr. Marcus Davis from Long Beach, California. He's an entrepreneur, and I'm gonna let him tell you about himself. What's going on, Marcus? Good morning.
How
Good
you
morning.
doing? Yeah, owner of Omani Detailing, mobile in Long Beach, California, detailer, and surrounding areas. Yeah, we operate in SoCal.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, just working.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
I see you always grinding, man. You're an
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
yeah.
Entrepreneur. Tell the world who you are, where you from.
Marcus from Long Beach. I've lived all over California. Yeah, and I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to work for myself, build my own hours, which turned into never stop working.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it. I started a detailing business about 2 years ago. Just been scaling it, growing it. In the Long Beach area and surrounding areas. But, uh, but yeah, that's my spiel. Uh, yeah, not so much else to report. Just building the business up, really.
How old are you?
It's a
How
slow
old are you?
process.
How old are you? Tell the
I'm
world.
22. I'm
How,
22.
man, listen. You're an entrepreneur at 22. You're working hard for
Yeah.
yourself. You figured that out at the early age of 22. You know how many people it takes them so long to figure out what they passion in is their gift and how they activate that. And you know what I'm saying? I know you via my uncle, Peter McIntyre. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about my uncle and how he, what he did for you in Long Beach. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I grew up in Long Beach until about 9 or 10, and then I moved with my mother, and I had just moved back and gone through some difficult circumstance, and which led me to the boxing gym. I walked up in the boxing gym, and pretty early on, your uncle Pete McIntyre, he took me under his wing and started training me. He was, you know, picking me up from my house and taking me to the gym, and because he could tell, I was heading down paths that led nowhere good, and he very quickly just sort of, like I said, took me under his wing, and it was beyond the boxing. He was taking me here, having me help him do stuff, and phrasing it kind of like that, but really he was helping me. He was
Right,
keeping me busy and keeping me oriented towards a goal,
right, right,
an achievable and positive goal.
right.
And yeah, he changed my whole outlook. He really did. Even through COVID, COVID hit, and I'm thinking, it's gonna be, kind of back to solo. He was picking me up in a mask. We were hitting the park that I'm at right now. I'm setting up a bag at the tree and still training.
Look
You
at that.
know,
Yeah.
and that meant everything to me. And like I said, it really just changed my whole trajectory on where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. It gave me a direction. And even past boxing, I took that sort of mindset into construction, and construction led to this. So I have Pete to thank for really everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out to Pete McIntyre,
and
man.
I really hold it in my yeah, I really hold it really dearly, that I plan to repay him in full, and that's one of the things that motivates me in this business, is that I've got so many people that kind of steered my head back in focus, and I
Right,
owe them.
right,
you
right.
know
Definitely.
um so that's heavy on my mind, but
I love the fact that you know.
yeah,
What I'm saying?
because
Go ahead.
yeah. But yeah, so once I got into construction, that's really what led me to owning a business, because it was a distinct moment where I learned that while I was making quite a bit of money in construction, I was making anywhere from 250 to $500 a day. I found out I was making my boss upward $30,000 a day.
Mm,
That boss that's off somewhere, took a plane somewhere. He's not even thinking about the business. And here I am, 12-hour days in the dirt, making, his scraps, So I thought about that for a long time and decided, I want the whole pot, and
Right.
started chasing that instead. But it all stems back to that direction I got. I'm very grateful for it.
Exactly. I love
You
that.
know,
That's your entrepreneur spirit and what you saw out there.
yeah,
Even that's double back on what Pete did for you, my uncle. That's my dad's brother. And he has always been like that. That type of guy. That's the kind of pedigree I come from is mentorship. You know what I'm saying? We'd rather help you than destroy it. Because that's where we came from. And I see what he done for you, and what I'm saying, and what he had done for me growing up. He taught me a lot of the game on how to protect myself. He was a prize fighter back in his day. You know what I'm saying? And he was a professional boxer. He taught me how to handle myself, how to box at an early age. I'm talking about 8, 9, 10 years old. He was right there. I'm 45 now.
yeah,
He showed me that, and I kept that always with me. And we talk on a weekly basis, and tap in with him, and I appreciate everything that he
yeah,
had done and tried to right his wrongs. You know what I'm saying? Because he went through a horrible time. You know what I'm saying? Out in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to figure out life in Long Beach, California. So shout out to him for just giving back to the community. And that's what this is what the Motivators Table is about. It's just giving back, just understanding who you are. You are 22 years old, so you're figuring out quickly how to navigate through that and what you need and what you want in this life, so you can be able to give back, and you have a heart to give back. Let's talk about how you were as a kid. Did you always have that spirit?
I think I did. I think I did, where it was just anything I did, I wanted to chase it to the fullest extent. I didn't see a reason to do something if you weren't going to give your all to it. And that's
Right,
a double-edged sword, because you can get blinded. You see the goal and you don't see anything else around you, and that can become a issue.
right,
But as a kid, it becomes an issue, and as you get older, you learn to navigate it and learn to direct it somewhere.
right.
But it can definitely turn into reckless behavior in adolescence. But I think I always did have it as a kid, where just anything I was doing, I just chased it with just almost almost ignorance, because you see all the obstacles as obstacles. You know what I mean? It's just it's that, and I'm learning that's a different mindset. I think growing up, I assumed that everybody thought like that. I
Right,
just assumed, and then growing up, realizing that, the further you go and the more you come back and stay in the same place during this race, it's like you realize it is a different mindset.
right,
You
right.
know, uh, it's definitely been interesting learning. It's that a lot of people just aren't interested in being like that. It's not even that they want to and they can't. They're not chasing anything or doing anything.
Right.
They're happy where they're at. And so that's cool, and I respect that too. To be happy where you're at, to be able to see your status and be cool with it. But I also appreciate the mindset where you chase more and more and more.
Right, definitely. And let's hit on that mindset. Let's hit on how you develop that mindset. Like I said, you're 22 and you're doing a great job. So how did you develop that mindset?
I think early on it was really built it a lot for me. From 17 to about 21, 22, I was doing construction pretty heavily, waterproofing, concrete labor. I worked with a company that moved sand and gravel through air hoses, and it was just this heavy hard work that I do enjoy. I enjoy working with my hands, and just A to B, get this job done, and then go home. But the more and more I did it, the more and more I learned about the higher ups, and how they moved and how they got their money. And
Right,
I was always more interested in that. It's interesting, going back to even Jackrabbit, I walked up in there, and I always remember wanting to be like Ivan, the owner.
yes.
I
Shout
didn't
out.
want to be a, you know, I wanted to be I wanted to be Ivan.
Yeah.
That's all I was always thinking about. I was like, how could I be like that?
Right.
You know, I don't want to be, you know, not to be on anybody's position, because every path has its ups and its downs, it's good and bad. But I didn't want to be on the ground, you know.
Right.
I wanted to figure out how to climb the ladder.
Right.
And I think that's where the mindset developed, and it helped the fact that, you know, I'm getting up at 3, 4 in the morning and going and working for somebody else's pockets every single day, 6 days a week, just
Right.
getting up over and over and over. It's a reminder.
Right.
Every alarm every morning is a reminder that you're working for somebody else.
Right.
And so I think that's where it kind of just started to grind into my head, where it was like I need to do my own thing. You know,
Right.
I really do. I this for another 5 years. I can never do this for another 10 years. Every job I had, the only thing that kept me going was the fact that I knew it was temporary. I could never see myself in any of those positions where I know 5, 10 years down the line, I'm in the same exact position. I don't care how much money they're giving me to be in
Right.
that same exact position. If I'm in the same exact position, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Exactly.
And so I realized I needed something that was ever evolving, something that I could constantly turn into something different and bigger.
Right.
And it was a business. And I'm not a car person. I don't like the, it's just not me. But I realized there was a lot of money in it, because funny enough, and then a homie was like, "Oh, I'm doing detailing," and he hired me, and I started making more money detailing for 2 hours after work than I was making at my 8 hour shift.
Mm.
And I was like, really? I was like, that's crazy. And so I started realizing, but then I realized I needed a lot more money than I had to start the business. And that's when I really jumped headfirst into construction for like about 12, 14 months of just straight grinding to save up for this business.
Right.
You know, I got the loan on the van. I saved up for all the equipment, this tank. I mean, this tank alone's 300, you know, it's like, so that's what I did, just day in and day out. And the
Right.
only thing that got me, that I knew it was going to end. But you're working around these cats that's 50, 60 years old. Some of them, you having to tell them what to do. It's like he's going home to a son and I got to bark at it for 10 hours. Like it just, it's you know, it
Right.
didn't, you're right. I never see myself satisfied in that position. So I think that's where that mindset really came from.
I love that, man. I love the fact that you developed a positive mindset and a go getter's mindset. You know what I'm saying? And everything that you invest into yourself, that's all entrepreneurship. You know what I'm saying? That's all part of entrepreneurship. So tell me right now, like the intensity of running your business as a 22-year-old and the capacity that weighs on you. Let's talk about the mental health challenges of that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think, I mean, shoot, you know, my mom's right about this phone, because it really skews how you think about your success and your failure.
Right.
You know, I see these cats that's 19, 20 years old, and they're the outliers of this group of people. And we
Right.
only see the outliers that just happen to get lucky, happen to get lucky, happen to get lucky, and then it tells you that you're a failure, but that's not the case. You
Right.
know, and jumping into a real business, not just, you know, I do this on the side, I'll do this for, you know, a couple months, but really building a true genuine business that you can build up and scale
Right.
has, it's changed the aspect of my life. You know, I'm get a, you know, it's a double-edged sword to be your own, because there's no, I don't have to be at work.
Right.
I don't have to make this call. It's all what you want to do for you,
Right.
all of
Exactly.
it. You
Right.
know, and that, like I said, it's a double-edged sword, because you know it's all on you. And like I said earlier, you know, you trade working hours, 10 hours, 12 hours for never stop working. I mean, there's a time where I'm not on this phone thinking about stuff. If I'm not actively working with my hands, it's a time where I can be catching up on shit, pardon, catching up on stuff, because I'm constantly behind. You know what I
Definitely.
mean?
That's
And
hard. Every hat
but
too.
it's, I love it. I really do. Yeah, every hat. You know, you the I mean, the marketing, the background work, keeping it legal. I mean, especially living in California, everybody wants to blame everything on you.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
had 2 weeks ago, accused me of balancing a ladder up on her car. It's like, lady, I didn't do that. But it's without proper preparation that could have just blown the whole business.
Right,
And
exactly.
it's like you said, it's every hat and it's never ending, and you wear one hat too long and you're messing up.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, uh, but it's I love it though. I really do, and it's very fulfilling to me.
Hmm.
Just every step of the way, the ups and the downs, and you learn that you learn not to put too much weight into anything, and life teaches you that to an extent. But I mean, owning a business really where
Right,
don't don't put too much weight on the ups, don't put too much weight on the downs, because tomorrow is completely different.
right, exactly.
It's you look at a week, and the week looks like, we might not be able to make it through this week, and then by the end of the week it's the best week you ever had.
Right, exactly.
And you got to be willing to put up with that over and over and over and over again.
Right.
But
And I
I
love what
love it, I really do.
your consistency though, and how you keep your nose to the grind and continue
Mhm.
to push forward. That's not taught, man. You have to be able to have that learning curve. And you saw me doing entrepreneur things online. It was like, I know you was like, how's he doing this? But I'd rather, you know what I'm saying? So I've been in different journeys of my entrepreneurship where I did it myself, I wore hats, I delegated, did I trust, did I not trust? I brought it back to myself. I put my business sometimes in other people's hands. And, the best thing for me now was when I developed to say, you know what? I'm going to be, I'm going to take on my birthright as a speaker because my father's a minister and both my grandfathers, and I'm going to do this myself and create a brand. I woke up every day and I felt lighter. It felt easier because it was something that I can control, and I didn't have to. I brought other people inside of my life to help manage and do things, and they didn't know what to do with it because they let the bright lights blind them. But at the end of the day, everybody's journey is different. And where I'm at now, I'm more comfortable with who I am and distributing my market and my place and my value to my community and my chat. And you know, that's my entrepreneurship drive, and my impact is how I give and continue to serve. Just like right now, I woke up in January 2025 and I was top 50 motivational speakers. That was another drive I needed to keep going. And then in July, I got signed to Los Angeles Tribune podcasting. So that's what I'm doing now. So my voice is being heard all around the world. And I was like, you know what? Let me go grab a young entrepreneur that I saw go from, what I'm saying, working with my uncle, boxing, asking me questions. He was very inquisitive, trying to figure out life. And now I see you online and you just booming now with everything you got going on. Can you talk about that? You hear me? You hear me?
Yeah, I think we lost connection. Yeah.
Okay, you lost some connections. Okay, I kept the conversation going. I was just talking about you being a young entrepreneur and used to ask me questions and be inquisitive and try to figure out, what I'm saying, just the silver lining and what I had going on. And you watched me in my journey and me going, transitioning from doing
Yeah.
security, working with celebrities to being a motivational speaker and picking up my birthright, man. And I remember you used to just ask me a lot of questions, and I would try to just get the answers for you and give them to you. You know what I'm saying? And thank you for just trusting me and coming to me and asking me certain things. And I'm proud of you. I see what you got going on. I see that you grind every day. I try to repost your stuff because it takes a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, your friends and family ain't gonna celebrate you right now, and that's weird because you thought you would think that my friend gonna like my post, my friend gonna share it, my family gonna like it, my family gonna repost it. They're not gonna do that. They're not. They gonna look over it and they'll tell you exactly what you got going on. But if you look in your likes and your comments, they won't do it, and it's sad because it's like if you know everything I got going on and you say you're proud of me, why you not showing the world that? How do you feel about that?
I definitely I agree with that, and without too much of a personal note, but it's like I feel it's this reaction where the more you go through this entrepreneur journey, you become a person where you're more and more of a reminder of what they're not doing or another person is not, and they can. You know, it's that one thing that they can be or they can do or they can change, and they're not, and you are. And the more and more you become, you know, this business person, the more and more you gain those attributes.
Mm,
People, you know, I know I should really get on that, but I'm not. I know I should really, you know, begin to behave like that, but I'm not. And it's this hidden resentment that grows within them, and as you grow, you can see it clearer and clearer.
right, right,
It's this kind of weird reaction, and and I agree, you know, and it's hard, but I think to an extent it's a natural human reaction that we as the entrepreneurs have to kind of calculate and be ready for, and just learn to understand better, you know,
right,
because I see a lot of cats really get hung up on that, where it's like, you know, they get hung up on their inner circle so much that they never leave it.
right,
And
right,
that's something I did really early on, where I stepped out of it. And I think the big thing is dropping ego. You know, I mean, it's even hard for me to ask you these questions. You know what I mean? Because as a man, you want to sit and you want to say that you know it all.
right,
You know, but you gotta. I realized early on, if you want to succeed, you got to drop the ego and you got to talk to these people
right,
that are in positions that you want to be in.
right,
You know
right,
what I mean? And somebody you in a position I want. So I'm gonna ask you a question. As hard as it may be for me to get that question out, like I'm gonna ask you, and I don't have to ask it again.
right,
You know what I
definitely,
mean?
right,
That's the last time I got to ask that question,
right,
and it's just gaining that knowledge over and over and over and over again.
right,
But I definitely agree. You know, it's been interesting to see who backs you and who doesn't, and who believes and who doesn't, and you know, hearing the little jabs or posed as jokes but aren't, you know, and those kinds of things, and just rolling with it. You know, it
right,
doesn't really. I think I have a unique outlook on it in the sense that I don't really look negatively on that kind of behavior, because I see it as a natural human behavior. And
right,
when I see natural human behavior, it's hard for me to really be mad at it, you know? So I kind of just roll with it. I
right,
kind of just anticipate it, calculate it into my routine, and you know how I talk to people, who I talk to people, you know, who I talk to, and what I tell people about. I definitely keep the cards closer to the chest. You know, there's certain things that you're surprised that you can't tell people about. You're like, really? I couldn't even just about this little thing that I plan to do next week, and now it's this whole big situation, you know.
right,
And and yeah, so I really just, it's like you said, you wear all the hats, but you learn to really, you learn why,
right,
you're wearing all the hats. You know what I mean?
right,
And that was early on. That was one of the reasons that I started the business. Is this fails, I want it to fail because of me.
right,
I want
right,
it to fail because I didn't do enough, not because he didn't do enough, not because he wasn't, you know, chasing enough, not because, you know, this person wasn't, you know, intelligent enough. I want it all to be on me.
right,
If this fails, I want to know that there was nothing to be done because I did everything that was possible.
right,
Because I know myself well enough, I'm gonna do everything possible to make this work. So if it fails, it's on me.
right, exactly.
And and that's just sort of my outlook on that. And it's, like you said, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to kind of look at it like that and not get hung up on he or she or anything like that. And my biggest supporters are people I never met. It's like you see you know, they say that it's true. My biggest supporters are people, you know, I've never seen before.
Right.
You know,
And it's going to always be like that.
but
It's just weird, and I'm glad you hit on that because as an entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, I don't want you getting hung up on what people are feeling about the situation. Just keep going. If God put that on your heart and that is your gift and how you activate it, you're doing so well right now with doing it. You know, it is a struggle when you know that you got a whole host of family and friends that can potentially blow this up for you, but they won't even share or like it or even comment, but they know exactly what's going on. It takes strangers. It took me to get out of certain circles for me to grow because I was comfortable in them circles where I thought these people was going to support me. They only support you to a point to where they're not going to support you till it passes them. You know what I'm saying? So I remember you coming to me, talking to me about a lot of things, and I said, you know what, this is what I do. You know, I got my master's in business, I'm working on my doctorate in business. Let me give him information and knowledge about how to be an entrepreneur, and that's what I did because I wish somebody done that to me. But it took me several businesses to figure out what my thing was, and it was speaking all along. As a little boy, my father gave that to me. It was coaching. It was motivational speaking. It was just being there, being present, holding space for people. And even in this world, a lot of people, you get your haters. You get it from other speakers, other people doing things because they want you to do certain things for them, and they don't even want to pay homage. I was dealing with a situation where I helped someone with a podcast, and it was my thing. It was called Shake the Room, and it's my conference, and he ran with it like it was his. And before I can react as a human side or somebody that's from Long Beach, like both of us, we know how we get out. But I had to really think about it and say, hey, that's the devil acting and reacting because I put the battery in your back. I put you on my conference. I helped you start that podcast. Shake the Room was my name. How dare you take it? But God was like, not yet. It's not time. Don't speak on it yet. Yeah, I feel a certain type of way, but it's a certain type of energy now I carry where it's like, wow, even some strangers get close to you to learn you so they can bite you, so they can grow, you know what I'm saying, and even cut you out on certain things. And I'm happy I left them circles because it's like Long Beach. I couldn't grow there. I was born and raised there, but I couldn't grow there. And then when I got to a certain situation in the city, like, yeah, the circles are cool until it starts internal competition where it doesn't need to be. Like, God has a lane for everybody, but it's a lot of people out here doing things that God never told you to do. That's not your gift. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how to speak. You don't know how to podcast. You don't know how to do these things. You don't know how to be a pressure washer. You don't know how to, that's not your gift. Go activate your own gift. But it's in social media is telling us we can do it all. And yes, you can do it all, but you ain't gonna make no money doing it and you ain't gonna find no glory because that ain't your gift. You playing with somebody else's gift, and you will only get to a certain point where even if you make $1 million, you're not happy because you think you deserve more. And I'm happy that you found your gift. I'm happy that you're exploiting it and that you're happy doing it. And I said, you know what? Let me spotlight you because what this is going to do for you is going to give you power to keep running and keep going because I understand where you are. At 22 years old, I was fighting this war on terrorism. I was downrange in Iraq. So I didn't have that mentorship. So I appreciate you just saying, you know what? Let me get mentored. Let me figure this thing out. Let me push forward on this and keep going, man. Let's talk about what you have in the near future. What you got going on?
Near future is to be honest, it's very calculated. It's where I want to be 3 to 6 months. 9 to 12 year to 1 year to 2 years is, and right now we're really just chasing commercial. I think it was always the bigger contracts is what I was chasing with. I already got these legs in with construction. Um, is just kind of transitioning away from residential work and working, with, just, in these houses, stuff like that, and working with big commercial jobs, fleet care, heavy machinery. Um, and it was interesting. I seen something this morning about delay, and that, delay is a decision in and of itself.
Right.
And it's really got me thinking about really just chasing that, a lot sooner than I had planned, because think, oh, I can't do this until I do that. I can't do this until I do that, and that's just some sort of construction in our head. It's not real.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
it's not concrete anywhere.
Right.
And so I'm kind of just in a shifting phase in the business and kind of just letting it grow in a way. And these past couple months I've sort of been able to finally have faith in the business that it will support my financial needs and really just be there, because before it was inconsistent but now the calls do come in.
Right.
They're not enough. It's there's weeks there where it's really but yeah, I haven't worked a day of concrete in 9 months.
Look at that.
So, it's really just been, in the near future, I just want to keep doing consistency, building the business up, and like I said, moving more into that commercial sector
Right.
and seeing what that has in store.
Right. Definitely, it's about ten
That
thousand
comes with a lot more liability, though. You got to be,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely about 10,000 hours you got to put in your craft, and you're doing it. Every day I see you put up a couple of cars and you wash it and you're doing your thing, and I just, I share you. I say, what, I'm going to support him to the fullest. Whatever I got to do on my platform and make sure we understand each other. I don't want anything. I want you to grow. So when you get to that point, you're like, you know what, you could do that. You could pass on that knowledge, do it for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that you dropped my uncle name, because a lot of youngsters, we do drop down and help and teach and coach. All the OGs want is just recognition. You know what I'm saying? All they want is like, hey, you know what? This person did that for me. And those are flowers that you give, but you can't go around and act like you did this thing by yourself. And that's what's going on in our generation. It's like you pick and choose what information you want to tell. And especially if your spirit or your aura, your character is bad, it's going to come out through your work. It's going to come out. Like, you can't hide it that much. You can't be a little weasel and try to weasel around situations and understand that you're playing with God's kid. You know what I'm saying? God put that on your heart. I'm God's child. I'm not playing around with it. Like, I was in a situation where I had this person in my in my tribe that was bringing back information on me, and when I'm out there speaking, it's like um, birds of a feather flock together. I'm not doing what you're doing. I'm not out here. I'm not out here doing that stuff. But you're doing it, bring it back to me, and you're leading with that because you want likes and follows, and I'm trying to impact. So I'm gonna have to let you go, because first of all, that's not who I am. I'm not living in that past limelight like that. I do what I gotta do. I look how I look. But when I'm done, I'm going home. I don't want to be bothered with nobody, because at the end of the day, the devil seeks to kill, steal, and destroy, and he's out there. And you got to be able to recognize them, that faction of it, you know. And can you tell me about a problem that you've been grinding for about 9 months in this, and it looks like you've been doing it for a couple of years. Can you tell me about a time that you had in the field that you almost had uncertainty and doubt of who you were in your business and what you were doing?
Yeah, I definitely have. Where it's these. I think it has a lot to do with where I'm at and how I behave out here. I talk to people doing what I do out on the East Coast, and they don't really run into situations like this where you know it's accusations and things like that where it's hard to keep that professional suit on sometimes where you think that because now I'm at this status, I'm in this position, I can't do this, and it's to say I can't do this, and that. And I didn't know that I'd have to take this, and that with me when I started this. I thought that was done. I thought we were professionals now.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And going into this, it was definitely interesting to see that you kind of have to take that you take that edge with you still, and it's
right,
it's for lack of better word, it's stupid. It's unnecessary.
right,
You know what I mean? We can all do this smoothly. I can do this service for you. You pay me to do this service for you, and we can go about our business. But people constantly it's like they want to complicate it.
right,
You know
right.
what I mean? And
Yeah,
I've definitely run into I've had to drop clients. I've gotten into situations where I had to immediately remove myself
mm,
because I felt that I could no longer maintain my professional image.
right,
I mean, these magnets on the van, I really try to put a different hat on. You
right,
know, it's because it's creating. You know what I mean? And I'm grown, and it's like this thing I gotta protect. People keep jabbing at it, and sometimes just you got to take a step back and remove yourself and say, hey, this situation isn't worth it. Just like the ups and downs and not putting too much weight into them, you just got to say, hey, it's hard not to make it personal though, because prior to the business, everything's personal.
right,
And so you start this business and it feels very personal because it's me.
right.
As I haven't filed, created, I'm a proprietor. This business is me. I am the business and the business is me. You know what I mean? And so
That's
there's no way it's not personal.
mm,
Any attack on the business is an attack on me.
exactly. Yep.
So it's really hard to remove yourself from that and say, you know what I mean, where it's I then kind of remove myself as the personal and I protect the business.
Right.
And it's hard. It's really, really, really a challenge sometimes. Because people, it's like you said, they'll put that mask on, but behind it is something real ugly. You know.
Right. Real ugly.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So I found that all I can really do is remove myself from those situations as quickly as possible,
Right.
and take the time like this to sit and think about it. And I'm thankful for that step. I think that's something that your uncle really helped me out with a lot. Where his biggest thing was that any story was basically, I made this mistake, I don't want you to make it.
Right.
And then he'd give me an anecdote from his life. He's like, look what it did to me, look what I had to rebuild, and look how I had to fix it. 10 seconds of my life cost me this and this. Don't do that.
Right.
And I think that really stuck with me really heavily. And I appreciate the fact that I didn't have a ride to the gym, because all those drives were really tough. Like when we were at the gym, it was different. But when we were driving back from the gym, he'd really, I think your whole family really got that speaker spirit in them, where they
Yeah.
they just instill,
Right.
knowledge, and it's almost you walking, and the whole time, like, I wish I had a notepad in the passenger seat. You know what I mean? I wish I was being able to write this stuff down, because I'm gonna miss something.
Right. That.
And I really appreciate that to the utmost.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what
You
my
know,
their moms put in them and their father and stuff like that. So it just come from a long line of healers, no matter how it looks. And I'm happy that he poured into you, and now you're pouring to your tribe and your generation and everything like that. And I wanted to spotlight you and bring you on, man. I'm proud of you, man. You're special, and you're doing something that
I appreciate that. I
a lot of kids
appreciate
are
that.
doing. I'm not calling you a kid, but I'm saying you're 22. I got a 25-year-old. I got a 19-year-old and a
Yeah.
15-year-old. My 19-year-old is getting ready to go into the United States Army this March, this spring. So, what I'm saying? I'm happy because I'm trying to get him situated so if he do his 4, 4, 5, 6 years, by the time he get out, he can do something entrepreneurial if he wants to, or if he wants to stay in and do a full 20. But whatever, I'm trying to set him up for success so he understands and he can knows that, what, his dad loves him, and then sometimes you fight against the powers that be. Like people that don't want or try to influence him to do other things. But, um, God knows my heart. God knows how hard I'm working to get him situated in this battle, in this channel, and everything like that. But as far as you, man, you're special, man. In this part of our
Appreciate it.
motivational table, you know, I make sure I want to pour into you. So I want to let you know, man, that you're loved, you're special. I'm proud of you. Don't stop. I don't know if you hear it enough, but I'm gonna tell you live on air, live on
Man,
LinkedIn,
surely,
live on
surely, surely.
YouTube, live with Transit Los Angeles Tribune, that I'm here for you. And you can call me at any time. And you already know you've been doing it already for years. You can text me for whatever reason it is, and I got you, man. Do not stop what you're doing, man. You're motivating your generation. You're 22 years old. You're an entrepreneur. Imagine what that is going to look like at age 32, then 42, because you put the work in. A lot of people out here, they're not putting the work in. They're just talking about it, and they're liking and reposting stuff and doing things that social media is training them to do. They're not following the algorithm of their life. God has put an algorithm in each one of us, and we have to figure it out. We have to recalibrate, and we have to reset. This is a year to reset and harvest. Everything you've been doing leads up to now. And you're about to go through a period of your time where your business is about to boom. Because I see it online, it's so professional. You take honor into what you're doing, and it looks good. I wish I had my car out there. You could do mine once a month, but
Hey, I always let you know anytime you're in the city, man. I
my,
got you. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna refer my dad to you because my dad has the Porsche. So he lives in on the
Absolutely,
corner of
absolutely. Hey,
Compton and Long Beach by Compton College. Yeah. So
the whole McIntyre fan and anybody they come through, I got them. I got them.
I'm gonna
You know
see
what I
you.
mean? So
I'm gonna
just
see
let me
you
know.
when we get off here. So you can call him and say, hey, your son The Hood Motivator, JR, told me to call you. I'm friends with your big brother, Pete McIntyre. I own a detailing business. I would love to come wash the Porsche. You say it exactly like that, he gonna say, what time
Oh,
can
absolutely.
you what time can you come, man?
Absolutely.
But yeah, whatever I can do to
Absolutely.
spotlight your business and put it on my platform. And what I want you to do right now is tell everybody how we can find your business, how we can spotlight it, and what is the social media. And go ahead.
Yeah. So Instagram is omni.detailing. That's OMNI dot detailing. We're also on TikTok. Our website is omni-detailing.com. And we're also on Google. You can check out, we have about 30 Google reviews right now. So if you type in Omni Detailing Long Beach, we come right up. You can type in Detailing Long Beach. We're third on the list right now currently and climbing. So, you know, and yeah,
Leave us with an
that's what we
inspiration
got.
for your generation.
Inspirational.
Just something from your
I
heart.
think, yeah, I think the best thing I can say is know when to keep the blinders on and know when to take them off. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's a time to stay head focused, but it's also a time to take them off and look around your surroundings and make sure you recognize in the background. You know what I mean? You're not knocking their path. You know what I mean? But it's, you can keep those blinders on, but sometimes you really do gotta, take them off, readjust, and throw them back on. And but I think that's the best thing I could really think of off the top of my head to this generation, because that's what I know. Somebody on too long, somebody, never put them on, and everybody's kind of just lost, you know?
exactly. And I appreciate you for dropping that and talking to your generation because they need to hear your voice. You are actually out here in entrepreneurship, which is one of the scariest things you can do by far. We're not going to play with it. Anything can happen at any given time. And you made a brand and you believe in it and you understand what you're doing. And this is what it takes. Get out here, get off the porch. They teach us gangbanging. They teach us how to sell drugs. They teach us how to do all these things while we
Yeah.
can teach each other entrepreneurship. You're doing it, and I'm proud of you, man. And keep going, man, because it's going to get to a point in
Thank
your
you,
life
man.
where it gets hard.
Absolutely.
It's going to get hard. And I want you to know, you pick up that phone, or you text me, or you DM me, and say, hey, I need some help. Can you help me? Words of wisdom, whatever I can do to put you in position, because that's what it's going to take. And they always say, you know what, the YNs, the young generation, the old generation, I just believe that there's no communication. And between us, there has been so much communication via my uncle, Pete McIntyre. When he left, he told me to make sure I take care of you. You know what I'm saying? If you reached out to me, talk to him, all them things. And he know how I am. I'm an introvert if I'm not on this mic, so I stay to myself. You know me already. I do what I got to do. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, when you reach out to me, I got your back, man, and I care for you. And I know you got to get to, you got some cars loading up right now. And thank you for just getting on. 10 in the morning in California, West Coast time, man. I see you soon in California, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man, and thank you. And thank you, Motivators Table,
Absolutely. Likewise. Likewise.
sitting with us. And these are the stories. These are real stories that we want to tell and make sure that we ignite. Look at he's 22 years old out here. He started from boxing in the park in COVID with my uncle to construction to now to running his own business because he has a true character. And that's what it takes. A true character to sustain everything that he's going through. And guess what? At the age of 22, imagine what he's going to look like in 10 years if he continues to be positive and pour back into himself. That's the key. Love yourself more, and the more that you love yourself, the more value you add to yourself because people see that. When I started to love myself more and be selfish, then the contracts came. Then the people came knocking at the door. I need you to speak to me. I need you to do this. I need you. And thank you. And motivators. This is why we do it. We tell each other. We want each other to get in front of the ugly. We want each other to mount up. This is it. The motivators table. Now when Marcus leaves this table, he about to go wash 100 cars today. He gonna get it done. He gonna get it cracking. He gonna believe in himself.
Know that. Know that.
And Thank you, Marcus, for just popping in, man. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Hey, Motivators Table. I can't wait to see
Likewise, likewise.
you next episode. Boom.